Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope you had a fantastic weekend, and thanks for being back here for another great week in English 8. All right, so let's take a look here. We are looking at The Lady or the Tiger, which you read on Thursday and Friday of last week between your synchronous sessions. So let's take a look and kind of recap what you need to know from that story. So here in your activity, you had a couple different things. First, you had a mini lesson where we were looking at different types of characterization. This is really going to help us start to break down who is in our story and understand why they are so important to that story. So you took some notes here. And then down here, you were asked to do a couple of different tasks while you were reading. We were looking at characterization as well as setting. So let's take a look here a little bit deeper at what that could look like within the context of our story. So the first thing we're looking for is setting. Now, this story has a really interesting setting that, again, adds to the story, adds to the drama and the conflict. But we know right away that it's an olden time where a semi-barbaric, king lived. Like, immediately, boom, first couple words, I'm getting a really vivid image of what this looks like. So you can see that, and here I just labeled a couple of this green for the setting. And the idea is knowing that already it's a really rough time, there's a really intense king, I can get an idea where this plot triangle is probably heading or things that will happen within that just based on the setting alone. So that was the first thing. The second thing that we looked at is the different types of characterization. We have indirect and direct as a couple of those. This one is very tricky. So the way that I remember it is direct. If they tell it to you, it's direct. That thing has been said. Indirect are things that we have to infer or guess based on that person's actions or possibly things people say about them, their thoughts. It's much harder to label that. So here are just a few quick examples. We don't have to go through the whole story here, but one of them here says, he was a man of exuberant fancy and withal of an authority so irresistible that at his will he turned his very fancies into facts. Kind of a complicated sentence, but really key words here, he was. It tells me exactly what he was. I don't have to guess. That is direct characterization. So we know that the king was fancy. He was someone who was really straightforward and he really liked the finer things in life. That's direct characterization. And then down here a little bit later, I know I have indirect characterization when it says, when all the people had assembled in the galleries and the king, surrounded by his court, sat high up on his throne of royal state on one side of the arena, he gave a signal, a door beneath him opened, and the accused subject stepped out into the amphitheater. So this is his actions completely. It doesn't say, he was mean, he was vindictive, he enjoyed watching people suffer. He doesn't say those things directly, but knowing this, he's sitting there like this and points and a door opens and a victim comes out. That's intense, right? And I know indirectly I can make those guesses about him. Okay, so that's just one quick example. The hope was that you worked your way through the story and found those. Don't sweat it too much. It's just something that we're trying to practice right now, okay? And again, I skipped over this, but another really good part of the setting that I saw just at the beginning, and a good example of how to annotate, was describing that arena we just saw the king in as well. So hopefully those things kind of fit well together. We don't have to go through the entire story, but the idea is you know a little bit more about direct and indirect looking at these examples, okay? And then at the end here, you guys had, excuse me, to look at a couple of different characters that really played a key part. And we're trying to make some inferences based on what we were told or what we had to guess about them. And then finally, we had some application questions. And I think, honestly, the most important was number 5. What do you think was behind the door and why? So hopefully you were able to get a really strong answer for that based on the different elements of plot that we looked at and based on the way all of those things fit together. All right. This is your recap for Lady and the Tiger, guys. I hope that it went really well for you, and I hope you have a fantastic Monday.